now call to order the Leominster Conservation Commission meeting for August 8th. We'll start with our continued hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public meeting to consider an RDA by Jameson Van Dyke regarding the determination of a stream being classified as perennial or intermittent. Kear Street, map 412, lot 10. Is anybody here in the audience?
Hi, Paul Grazowitz again. I brought a letter tonight, which I can't give you. I went out there we were coming through the area, went out there last Wednesday, took some photos, the stream bed was dry. Figured I'd just stop before the meeting tonight, take a couple more photos, and give you my letter. But it's flowing again. So the rain Saturday or Monday, or both, I guess, got it trickling again. So I guess if the board wants to see 4 days, I'm going to have to wait longer.
Okay.
I didn't expect to see it flowing again. I don't know how much rain you got here in the last couple of storms, but
Quite a bit.
it wasn't too much up my way. It was, not even a half an inch.
I want to say we got like 3 inches.
Yeah, we got quite a bit
Really,
all
it
at
was
once.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll have to, unless the commission wants to act on my photos from last Wednesday.
Comments?
Just my personal opinion is you do have to overcome the perennial presumption by providing 4 days of evidence. So I wouldn't be ready if all you can show is one.
Okay. All right, well, I guess I'll be back again at the September meeting?
September 12th.
Okay.
September 12th. All right.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Paul. What is that? 67 Street.
All right. We'll move on to our second continued hearing. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there will be a public hearing to consider notice of intent by Rockwell Pond LLC for the construction of a 3,585 square foot storage building and parking lot resurfacing. Work is proposed with a 100-foot linear riparian zone, 100 feet wetland buffer, and 100-year floodplain associated with Moosnock Brook. Address 83 Cotton Street, map 6, lot 11, DEP file number 199-1048. We have somebody representing the applicant.
Good evening. Wesley Cliss, Women and Associates. At the last meeting, we asked for a continuance to take care of the notification for the abutters. It's what I gave as Marco, the green card for the abutters for that. Looks like everybody has a copy of the revised plan. I think Jamie must have given everybody a revised copy. Brad, you have a copy of the revised one with the cross-section on it too. Okay, you do. All right, good. So I know we had a chance to walk the property with some of the members. At the site walk, it was asked that we revise the plan to show storage increments at half-a-foot increments and also to show a cross-sectional view of the proposed building. Cotton Street being here, Cottage Street being here, the new building being in the northeast corner of the existing paved parking lot. As part of the work, we're also looking at resurfacing the parking lot in this area to bring that up to a little better working condition. We'll end up constructing a building basically on piers, and it's proposed to be 15 piers, 2 foot by 2 foot in size. They'll rise up to the elevation where the bottom of the floor, or bottom of the slab, will be just above the floodplain elevation in this area, which at the worst case is about 407.5 in this area here. So we've set that bottom of the slab elevation at that elevation there. So on the bottom, I show the floodplain calcs. We show a fill of 232 cubic feet, basically due to the piers bringing that building up into that elevation. And then I do show a cut being just to the east of that building, along the bank of the Nooseknock. And we show a cut of 302 cubic feet, obviously showing a 70 cubic foot surplus there for the floodplain. Like I said, I showed the cross sections. You can see where basically the filling happens as it goes up that elevation, where the cut happens right along that, right along the bank there. So you can see the elevation in that cross section. Obviously, the work is within the 100-foot riparian zone, 100-foot wetland buffer zone. All the work is in an area that's already disturbed, as you saw on the site. Obviously, the impetus behind this is we're trying to create storage. The storage building, I have pictures of the storage building, or an example of the storage building that was constructed in another area. It's not exactly what it's going to look like, because this one that the picture shows 5 bays. The one that we're going to look at constructed here is at 3 bays, and obviously, like I said, the first floor elevation, or the bottom of the slab of the first floor, will be set above the floodplain. So this would be sitting up about 3 feet before you see the floor of the structure. So if you want to see it, I think this is a good picture of what that building's going to look like there. Like I said, that one shows 5 bays. The one they're going to construct is 3 bays, so it'll end up being 75 feet. Kind of a good picture just inside of it. Those would be what the walls look like. But like I said, everything's going to be set above that 407.5 elevation, such that we're above the floodplain elevation. Such that any materials that are stored in this building will be above the floodplain elevation. But that's similar to what was going to be constructed on the property. Obviously, we show hay bales and sill fence along the brook side of the project. Make sure that any road control stays within the property. But we don't really foresee a lot of erosion issues because, like I said, it's a paved area. A lot of the construction can happen within that area, and they can stockpile everything upstream of or uphill of that work area. Pretty straightforward project. Like I said, I know you guys are familiar with it because you had seen it already a couple of times now. So, I'm sure you have any questions at this point.
Commission members, questions, comments?
Is the height of the building going to be about that high, or?
It's the same height building.
Same
yes.
height of the building, yes.
Same.
Obviously, we meet the zoning requirements and deal with the building inspector for that. It will be out of the maximum height that's allowed by the zoning.
I guess my question is, if it sits up at a certain elevation, the slab, how are you going to get to it?
Forklifts.
So no loading dock built or anything like that, just,
So it's, well, they could, well, the way the elevations work out, they could work the elevations that it would be a loading dock, but the hard thing is because of the way that lot is, there's really no way to get a trailer truck into the back there. So they're looking at more of a forklift operation, or some kind of lift truck that they'd have to use to use that building.
It's 100% for insulation, that's it. They're gonna have a fork truck inside, and Rockwell Roofing has 3-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch tape insulation, and they're gonna set up their bays for insulation, so it's just gonna be loading insulation 100%. It's 100% just for storage, that's it.
Yep.
I have a question.
Sure.
This parcel, is this all one continuous parcel that goes all the way over to Pond Street?
It's actually 2 parcels the way the assessors is, but it's all owned by both.
Same owners,
Yes.
same ownership?
Correct.
Okay. Then my next question is, with respect to the compensatory storage, I see a lot of that is not being done towards the higher elevations up to, what's the flood elevation, 407?
407.5, and it
Right.
rises as we get to the adjacent property.
So is there somewhere on the property where you can do that?
Well, this area hasn't been disturbed in a number of years, so we try to stay away from this area. But this area, part of this site doesn't get up to 407, it only gets up to about 405.5 to 406 at that peak. The only other part of the site that does get in this area is all paved at this point, and so we're trying to stay away from disturbing that area. And that's why we chose the area that we chose to make up for the compensatory storage, the floodplain.
But it's the same owner on the parcel next door, correct?
Yep, and so the same thing with the parking lot over here, it's all gravel or paved parking on this
It's all
side over
paved right
here.
there.
It's all paved here, and this is all gravel in the back here, and so it's all used for storage. It's So we're trying to stay away from disturbing their existing parking field that they have on the adjacent property also.
Now that knoll to the west, that was just dirt right now?
This right here,
Yeah.
it's kind of growing in with trees and brush, and so it is, I want to say, I'm trying to think of, there were some aerial maps that we had looked at before. We were disturbed a number of years ago because there used to be a building that sat on that property, but it's definitely grown in. So we tried staying away from that area as part of this project. But like even that, like I said, it gets us up to about an elevation of 406 right at that peak. So it wouldn't get us all the way up to that elevation of 407 to 407 and a half.
But you can get, at least if I'm looking at this table correctly, it seems like you stopped your compensatory at 404 and a half. You're basically not taking anything out from 404.5 on up to 407, that's correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. I guess personally, I'd like to see you try to, if that pile's not merely being used for anything, you know, it's clearly not being used like a paved parking lot, like the lot next to it.
This one right here?
Yeah, if you can pull out some there just to try to meet the compensatory on the higher end.
Well, again, if you guys are okay with us disturbing area that's, when we looked at this area, we were kind of looking at, we were cleaning up the bank, because if you guys were out the site, and it's not the greatest area here. As we get further into the site, the growth is a little more mature,
Yeah.
and so we're trying to stay away from disturbing that area, but if that's something that you want us to change, we can definitely remove some material in there. It's not a huge amount of material, so that's something that we could easily do, and do it in this area here if you want us to do it. That's no problem. We were just trying to stay in an area that's easier to kind of clean up, I guess.
No, and I can see that point of not wanting to disturb more, but
Yeah.
part of meeting the borderline subject to flooding requirements is that you do the compensatory at like elevations.
Yep,
So if you
we're
can-
possible, and that's why, and that's I guess the problem is, and this is, again, the third project on the site that we've done, and because of the way the site sets up, even in the past when we've developed on this site, other sites in the city, we try to stay away from disturbing areas that aren't disturbed now to make up for the compensatory storage if possible. If you want us to do it, that's fine, we can do it there, it's not a big issue, we can get a machine in there, take material out of that area.
You all set? Any other comments, questions? Anybody in the audience want to speak on this notice of intent? Second time and last time? Any other questions, comments? Any objection to closing the public hearing?
I guess the only question I have is, I know I'm leaning towards some minor revisions towards the compensatory.
Yep, you can conditionally approve it that we do the compensatory storage here. Like I said, we don't have an issue getting the back here. We can access right out to the back there and take the material out. We don't have an issue with that. And we could get you the revised plans before you even sign the order at the, at the next meeting, if that's something that you'd be willing to.
I'd like to add that you do have an open order conditions.
Right.
Yep, and so that's what we were gonna say is, and I know Jamie talked to you guys about this before, is that once you guys gave us a favorable decision on this, we were gonna submit the certificate of compliance, just stating that no work has taken place under the old order, and to basically give us a certificate of compliance on that order. And so if you wanna make a condition, those, 2 conditions on top of your boilerplate, as being those 2 items, we have no issue with that. And like I said, we can do those for the next meeting and bring those 2 items back to the next meeting, such that if you sign the order at the next meeting and sign the certificate of compliance at the same time, we can do that. From a timing standpoint, if you guys felt comfortable doing something like that, that'd be fine with us.
Just a quick comment on the timing. If we close tonight and we don't meet again till the 12th, then we're not signing the order in 21 days.
21 days, right.
The next meeting's been
Hmm.
canceled at that point, right?
It's in September 12th.
Yeah, September 12th, so we don't meet the 21 days.
So no matter what you do tonight, you can't, unless you have the orders here to sign, right? Is that what the, so you're gonna run into the same issue with everything else on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
And you can't sign them at his office afterwards, is that what the, you have to sign them at a meeting?
No,
No, not necessarily.
no, we can sign them at a later date, it's fine.
This is the 21 days, right?
Right.
The voting needs to happen and it has to be signed and issued within that time period.
Right,
But it can't be signed after the vote.
yeah. So do you want to see a revised plan first? What would you?
I mean, my personal take on it is I like to have everything wrapped up before you vote, but I also understand the way timing works and how if we're not in 2 weeks like we normally do, that's
Right.
a little bit of a hardship for the applicant too, so.
Right,
It is a minor enough revision that for something like this, maybe we condition it that they get us a revised plan after the fact. I don't think I'd have a problem for something like that. It's not my preference, but because of the circumstances.
No, like I said, within a couple of days, we'll have something over to Mark when he was the revised plan, it's not that, how much we
It's
can
up to
take
you.
off of that.
It's up to the commission.
right, but, no, but I'm saying it's your major concern,
I would-
so.
Yeah, I'd be okay with closing it and then getting that. If that's the only issue that the commission has.
Okay. Any other commission members have any issues?
No, I don't, but what is the other option, that we just come in personally and just go into your office and sign it in a couple days?
Right, yeah, that's how it works.
I mean, I'm okay with that if that's what we
Yeah, we
wanna-
can-
you know what I mean, if you wanna
We
dot the
can
Ts a little bit,
issue
you know what I
it
mean?
with the condition that it come, before we sign it, we have a revised plan of what we asked them to do.
I'm okay with either way, but if you felt more comfortable, or if we felt more comfortable with seeing it and then coming in and signing it,
Again, everybody's got to weigh in.
Right, that's
No,
what I'm saying,
I just-
me, I'm not saying everybody,
Okay. Why don't we do that? We'll close the public hearing and we'll listen to see what recommendations and we'll vote on it and then if we have to hold a signature or all signatures until a later date within that 21 days.
If you're gonna vote on it, if you're gonna close and vote on it, then you've got to get the document out within the 21 days
Right.
period. It shouldn't be contingent upon waiting to get more information. So that's where everybody has to weigh in how comfortable they are taking information
Right.
after the close of the public hearing.
If you're gonna condition it with
I'm
that
fine.
the materials removed from that central portion, that central knob in the site, basically, that's, like I said,
Right.
That's good.
Condition that shows that you meet the performance standards with a revised grade and plan in
Yeah.
that section. I mean, that's,
right.
yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. You two comfortable with it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
All right.
I'm gonna move them up.
Michael, what do you have for recommendations?
Well, I'd recommend we issue a standard order of conditions with a standard boilerplate in the, for DP file number 199 F48, with the added conditions that silt fence and straw wattles to be installed as proposed in the submitted plan, 24-hour written or verbal notice to conservation agent prior to start of work to allow for inspection or erosion controls. No stockpiling within 100 feet. Construction roadway and entrance must be maintained and swept clean of dirt and debris prior to a forecasted rain event. Revisions to meet the performance standards for floodplain compensation to include removal of soils from that central portion of the site. And additionally, supply the commission with a request for certificate of compliance for the outstanding order conditions congruently with the revised plan set.
Do I have a motion? Yes, sir.
Make a motion that we issue an order of conditions per our agent's recommendations, with also one additional condition that the applicant provide an as-built plan for the structure, showing us the elevation of that slab as well, and showing that we've met the compensatory storage requirements.
Do I have a second on that motion? All in favor? Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, moving on to our 6:05 hearing. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there'll be a public hearing to consider a notice of intent by Neighborhood Development Trust for the construction of a common sewer line to be used by several single-family homes. Work is proposed within a wetland resource area in the associated 100-foot buffer zone. Address Atlantic Ave, map 256, lot 3D, DEP file number 1991050. Have someone representing the applicant.
For the record, Person of Planning and Engineering. I would request that maybe we open up all the hearings just because they're kind of conglomerated together, if that was okay with the commission. If not, I can just go down the line and hit each
I'm
line.
not sure if you want to keep them separate or keep them together.
I would suggest you open them all
All.
up and then
Okay.
it'll make it easier, I agree.
Okay. Pursuant to Mass General Law 131, Section 40 as amended, there's a public hearing to consider a notice of intent by Neighborhood Development Trust for the construction of a single-family home and associated site grading within a 100-foot buffer zone of a wetland resource area. Address Atlantic Ave, Lot 2A, map 256, Lot 3D, DEP file number 1991053. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, there's a public hearing to consider a notice of intent by Neighborhood Development Trust for the construction of a single-family home and associated site grading within a 100-foot buffer zone of a wetland resource area. Address Atlantic Avenue, Lot 3A, map 256, Lot 3D, DEP file number 1991054. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, there's a public hearing to consider a notice of intent by Neighborhood Development Trust for construction of a single-family home and associated site grading within a 100-foot buffer zone of a wetland resource area. Address Atlantic Ave, Lot 4, map 256, Lot 3D, DEP file number 1991052. And finally, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, is a public hearing to consider a notice of intent by Neighborhood Development Trust for site grading within a 100-foot buffer zone of a wetland resource area. Address Atlantic Ave, Lot 5, map 256, Lot 3D, DEP file 1991051.
Again, for the record, Chris Ayers with Hanning Engineering, here on behalf of the Neighborhood Development Trust. We're here before you tonight for a proposed 5-unit residential development off of Atlantic Ave, which is just south of North Street. As part of this project, we will be proposing to construct a new sewer extension main that would come off of the back portion of the property and do a straight shot straight up into the property or into the parcels, at which point laterals will be extended outwards in order to collect this sewage from the proposed houses. This part of the project does require a wetland alteration of approximately 2174 square feet. We're proposing to have the replication done in place. Work of this nature is generally temporary in nature. During constructions, the soils and plants will be transplanted and stored on site. Upon completion of the construction, the soils will be replaced and plants replanted. At the discretion of the commission and its agent, we can always plant more plants in the areas that are a little sparse or variable wetland seed mixes. We have had a site walk on the site a few days ago. During that meeting, there was concern raised over the trench for the actual sewer line transporting water at a rapid rate. As such, we have included a note that will reference the sewer extension plan, and additional details have been provided on the plan showing a bentonite dam inside the trench to prevent additional groundwater movement. I feel that would accomplish some of the concerns that the commission have regarding that. Moving on, we are proposing to construct 5 single-family homes. These are going to be 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom homes currently. Most of the work associated with these houses are with grading and construction of the house itself. The grading of the house is it's designed so that majority of the stormwater along the front portion of the property just discharges onto the street and into that sewer system, drainage system. The remainder of the site will just overland flow across a landscape lawn area into the woodlands. Most of the site is just general grading. We are proposing to construct a 1.5 to 1 riprap slope along the back portion of Lot 3A. This is to help prevent any additional encroachment into the wetland area. It's a pretty steep topography in that area, and that slope allows us to prevent any alterations to the wetlands. We have received DEP comments. Their concern was that it is technically a 5-unit development, which is in excess of 4, which is the kind of criteria for stormwater management. In looking at the wetland regulations, housing developments of 5 to 9 units stormwater management is only applicable to the maximum extent practical, as long as we don't discharge any critical areas. We have reviewed Mass GIS Oliver, and there's no critical areas, potential vernal pools, or estimated wildlife habitat in the general vicinity of the project, so it's safe to assume we are indeed not discharging to a critical area. In order to provide compliance with the stormwater regulations, we are proposing to construct dry wells on each of the individual lots. The roof drains for each of these houses will discharge into this dry well. There'll be an in and out at the same level, so the intent is that the basin or the dry well will fill up and any excess will just discharge off normally. In doing so, we are able to provide recharge capabilities for each individual lot as it stands within each individual well. So we are complying with the recharge requirements of stormwater management. Peak rate, there is an increase just due to the conversion of the land from woodlands to grass areas. That peak increase does show up, and that's the only real stormwater management regulation we aren't quite able to meet just because of the site constraints. We are providing the dry wells to help mitigate some of that, but it's a substantial increase with a special small area. Erosion control will be utilizing hay bales and silt fence along the entire limit of work, and that will be essentially the limit of work for the entire project. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. If there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions, comments from the commission?
Marco, do we have a full-size set of the sewer plan?
Yeah, I got them right there.
That's just...
Should be a sewer plan.
What is the dry wells going to collect?
Just the roof drains.
Okay.
we try to maintain the shoulder along the roadway,
Oh, okay.
so that kind of just continues through.
Where's that current, where's that drain to currently?
There is an outfall location and several catch basins and drain manholes that are in the street
Yep,
that just collect and discharge to a culvert essentially right through here, and it just continues through.
and that's existing as it sits now, okay.
Down where there's like a,
That weird cul-de-sac.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what's your slope made of? Just riprap stone?
Yep, 50 to 125 stone.
Okay.
Stone.
Any, what's the plan for the replication? You said to just store it on site, is that gonna be in the vicinity of the
Yes.
replication area? You're just gonna kind of move it to one side?
Yeah, we'll try to move it to one side. This area was, the way the construction is going to work, it's going to work its way up this way, so the alteration up here and the construction is going to be pretty minimal at that point.
Oh, okay,
So we can always just store it off on the side over here somewhere up below.
okay,
Quarter it off with trout walls and whatnot.
yeah,
But it's essentially just a trench that's going to go pretty quick.
right,
So
okay.
try to be quick in and out kind of plan.
And that's going in first, so,
Yeah, it's because it's the only way we can service the houses.
How much are you gonna remove? Or, let's say, this place,
Width-wise,
yes, because you're gonna take out the plants that are existing and store them. How much will width?
I believe that width is about 20 feet. Hold on one moment, I can grab the scale. Sorry. As I destroyed the,
break the radiator.
just a little bit. So that'd be about a 25-foot wide maximum alteration to the area. Usually it's just going to be essentially enough to get an excavator in
Well,
there.
that was my question, like,
Yeah.
okay, just one piece of equipment there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, any questions? No? Trying to figure something out over there, Mr. Stone.
Oh, I have a bunch of questions. I'm just-
I had a feeling.
I'm good, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Which part of the stormwater management standards did you say you weren't able to meet? Was it runoff?
Yeah, peak rate.
Okay. When you sized the dry wells, did you do that static or dynamic infiltration?
Static.
Okay. So you probably actually have some exfiltration there that helps you out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I see the detail for the bentonite trench dam now. Where is that located in Plainview?
Plan view?
Right.
Yeah.
Where's the dam location? That's
We didn't depict them on the plans that per se. It would just be between the length between SMH2 and SMH1, the wetland crossing. the commission would like it to expand beyond that, we can definitely accommodate that.
So what, if I understand you correctly, what you're suggesting then is right outside the resource area within the trench on either side of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just along that lane. If the commission would like additional, we'd be more than happy to accommodate that. But beyond that, it's usually pretty high up, so the groundwater won't be interfering with that too much.
Okay. This industrial road that's shown on the plan, if I remember correctly from our site walk, that's just a paper street at this point?
Yeah, I believe it cuts off just prior to the Liberty Place development. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on it, but essentially at that point, it's just paper.
And it ends right there at the property line?
Yep.
Okay.
So we can't really try to kick over that sewer line any further.
No, my only concern was I see the overflows via dry wells are basically discharging right at the edges of that. So I didn't know if anything was gonna be proposed there or what the history of that was. Sequencing, is this sewer line gonna be done before the buildings?
Yes, because it's the only real way we can service the buildings. And pretty much at this point, the sewer line gets installed and everything else gets built up around it. As for the grading around the lots and everything. So we would come in, get the initial sewer line up and through, get the crossing taken care of. Depending on how construction proceeds, but essentially we would try to get the two, I guess we would call them extension laterals, if you will, for lack of a better term. Get those in, get that squared away prior to getting everything running up.
And the replication will be done,
As soon as the trench is backfilled.
and then my other question with the dry wells, quite often when I see homes being constructed, what developers end up doing is only directing a small portion of the roof to that actual well. I see you've got essentially one well in each corner, but how much of that roof system are you capturing and how are you doing that to get it there?
The way I intended it was that this would just all discharge. These wells are relatively small, so they do fill up pretty quickly. There's only 102 cubic feet per well, so it does fill up. And even in a one-year storm, these things are doing a discharge just because of how much was going into it in such a small area. So it was designed to accommodate the entire building. But we can see if they can try to loop some of the do underground roof drains or something like that to try to get it into the wells themselves.
Oh, these are fairly small.
Okay. 8 by 8s, just enough to get the recharge capacity inside them.
The structure itself, though, these are 3-foot diameters.
Yep. So you have an
Yeah,
8-foot square with a 3-foot diameter mini dry well in the center of it.
Right, what I typically see when someone's only using one structure is they do end up piping everything down and trenching it around the foundation and then sending it to it, rather than try to collect it near the roof and wrap it all around. The grades just don't work. But we should see, at least I'd like to see a spec on showing that happening to get it there. And back to the trench dam, has your office ever seen one of these go in?
Yes, Bill Hannigan recommended using that version of it.
Okay, it's a little different than what I'm used to seeing. If I'm reading this correctly, this is a 2-foot thick dam.
Yes.
So what I usually see is something that's only a few inches thick with some type of a plastic, like anti-seep collar that's keyed into the trench. If this is much thicker though, so it's probably going to provide the same function. But I do want to see somebody there witnessing that when it goes in, just to make sure it's as solid as the detail is showing. Because soil, even clay, moves a bit easier than something plastic would. I guess the one last comment I have for now is I see a lot of these footing drains are being located in somewhat the same vicinity as the overflow pipes for the dry wells. It's a little bit of an unusual request, but if we can somehow get those marked once they're installed, so if there ever is a water issue, somebody knows whether or not it's the dry well overflowing or if it's the footing drain running,
Some
something
kind of formal witness of some sort.
something either on an as-built or just labeling the pipe somehow, just so that if somebody from the city should need to go out there, if there's a problem with the building, or somebody's complaining about drainage because they just bought the home and there's an issue, something of that nature, that everybody knows what those many 4-inch pipes are gonna be that are sticking out of the ground there. Still just 1 second. I just want to make a comment on the replication, because it's going to be so close to the houses when they're done. I would definitely like to see more vegetation added when we replicate it, because I just know even though it's going to be temporary, I'm not super concerned with what type of wetland vegetation, just to make sure that it kind of gets pre-vegetated as best we can. And I'd like to see, because it's so close, the proximity of the wetland is so close to the properties, that wetland signs be placed along the tree line, or basically the
Limit of the work.
kind of the limit of the work, saying, beyond here is wetland. Obviously we saw some dumping there during the site walk. With houses, that some of that dumping is going to go away, but people have a tendency to start putting other things back there as well. So I believe Michael has some signs, we can give to the developer, but we'd like to see that posted along the entire project along the wetland. And then in the replication, why I say that, just when someone moves in there, if it's something that they see that's disturbed, I don't know how quickly they'll build,
It's a straight shot line too.
Yeah, if they see it, they might think, hey, this is great, and you can do something with it.
Right.
Being it so close to the properties, I'd like to see it vegetated quicker than, good. You brought up a good point. With the limit of work being real close to that wetland edge and the homes being pretty close to it, the lots being tight in general, it might be worthwhile to, rather than just signs, because people don't always see signs and they don't always stay in place, to just put in something to impede movement into that area, whether it be an actual vegetative barrier or fencing or a combination of both. Like I've seen a lot of different commissions use a split rail fence
Right.
with a vegetative barrier spec, something of that nature. Because I do think that with the homes there, it's just a little bit of a grade down, and all of a sudden that's going to be where my yard refuse goes and other things.
Correct, and that was kind of my focus of making some sort of, I mean, in the past, we've recommended boulders that may have been on site or some sort of, something to kind of make a definitive line there, so. I like the idea of like a split rail fence, relatively inexpensive, and it kind of gives you
There's
enough of a barrier,
barrier,
physical
but
barrier,
there's
you know.
there's enough of a,
I'm just concerned because it's so close.
Are you talking about along the whole border or just this one path where they're gonna?
No, I would definitely the back of the property, yeah.
border, yeah.
Just to make it, because it's, I mean,
You like it?
the limit of work is right up against the wetland. If it was 50 feet away, I might be a little less inclined, but the lots aren't exactly huge, and people have a tendency to take more than what is theirs. And down there, I mean, what's wetland and what's not wetland is to the untrained eye, somewhat tough to figure out, so. I probably would agree with that, some sort of a simple split rail fence, something inexpensive like that would be,
Some kind of permanent demarcation.
yeah, at least on the back side of the work.
Maybe like a solid line of vegetation.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
I'm
if,
just wondering, like, things are gonna roll down there.
I'm more worried about the people.
The people trampling over that.
I think if you stop the people, the vegetation will grow. I mean, other commission members may think differently, but,
I've also seen boulders be very effective.
yeah,
Some, 4-foot boulders that they dig up while they're doing their foundations, they'll place
yeah,
them
it just kind of,
on. I've seen that work very well.
if you stop people from going back, their vegetation will ultimately grow more, you know?
I was just wondering if you should suggest chain link fencing behind that first.
I don't,
No.
I personally don't like it just because it,
Starts to impede movements
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
where split rail fence is just very open, very, critters can go and come as they
Oh,
please. And
Definitely, the rest of it, definitely, I would say split rail. I'm just wondering behind that first one.
On this lot.
Yeah.
It is a pretty steep slope back here, so
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
have a hard
say, I
time
don't
seeing
think-
people.
Yeah, I don't think people
Yeah.
would be walking down that. Is that a 1-to-1? What is that?
1.5 to 1. The
1.5
detail
to
says
1.
the 1-to-1, but
It's gonna
that's.
be pretty steep.
No, I'm just thinking of people throwing stuff.
Yeah, well,
I would hope if that's their house, they could do that.
yeah.
It's just a thought.
Do you like the idea of adding vegetation to a,
If the comment, if you're doing a split rail fence, for instance, adding that with the vegetation rather than just the fence itself,
alright,
is what I think. You know,
Is it?
some type of indigenous shrub back there,
yeah,
spaced every few feet to go with it.
Something will get nice and thick.
yeah. Alright, I think that's a good idea. Any other comments or questions from the commission? You okay with your sewer line area?
Well, I'd like to see all the revisions on the plan.
Okay.
And I think you'd probably want to talk to your client about some type of barrier, something that they could agree on.
Like the fencing or something like that?
Fencing,
Yeah,
borders, something like that.
okay.
And then the detail for how you're gonna get everything into the dry wells too, added to it, yeah.
We good? All right. You want to see all that before we vote, I'm assuming?
I would think so. I mean,
Yeah.
it's more than one,
Right.
just minor.
Okay. Do you want to continue it to the next,
Well, ultimately,
Next.
that's up to you.
No, I know that's up, I know it's up to him. It's just timeline and
Yeah,
things like
it's-
that.
I know it's a relatively minor tweaks and changes, but the commission would be open to, it's kind of a difficult position because we're sort of trying to get some more stuff onto it, but at the same time, they're relatively minor in nature. I would believe if the commission feels comfortable, we can continue it, but I would, prefer to have it closed, but we can continue it if need be.
I think I'd like to continue it, just so we can make sure that your client's okay with this, and I think a couple commission members like to see the plans revised, so.
Yep, and I'll request
Okay.
continuance.
All right.
One
Yep.
quick last question. Did you provide calcs for the infiltration basins to show? You said it's filling up at an annual event?
Yep, we provide stormwater calcs that show the discharge from the houses being physically putting into these basins and how they react and everything like that.
And it actually fills up at the 1-year storm, or?
Yep. So,
Okay. What's the timeline on this? When did they want to start?
I know it's sooner rather than later.
Okay.
So if we can get these last few things ironed out and ready for the next meeting, I believe we can probably still make it work within their time frame.
Okay. All right. So why don't we leave the public hearing open?
Yes, the audience,
Huh? I did not ask the audience, so. Anybody on the audience like to speak on this notice of intent? Second time and third and final time? We'll leave the public hearing open, and do I have a motion to continue to next meeting?
Chairman, I make a motion that we continue this to is it the September 12th? September 12th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
It's difficult to ask in the audience. All right. Let's move on to our regular meeting. Certificate of compliance, 207 Mill Street.
DEP file number 199-1034. I have a request for certificate of compliance. The applicant has provided a as-built plan for, this was 207 Mill Street, which is the 110 Grill
Okay.
restaurant. They provided an as-built plan and engineered stampable written letter certifying that the conditions have been met for the order conditions. I took a site walk on August 2nd, and everything stabilized over there. Silt fence is removed. That was one thing I had to request, was that the silt fence be removed. And they did a good job over there. It looks good to me.
Everything vegetated in and
Right.
nothing.
All stabilized.
Okay.
So, looks good to me, and I would recommend a certificate of compliance for this project.
All right. Comments, questions?
I see the plan and the letter.
I emailed that to you all, but I don't have it on me right at this moment. That's something I could quickly grab if you'd like.
Yeah, my only concern was if I I did go through the order of conditions,
Sure.
and it did mention that there was floodplain impacts.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that they've addressed that on the as-built.
Excuse me. What was it in floodplain? Can't remember that one.
The order of conditions had that in the resource area impacts, it had floodplain volumes checked with numbers next to them.
Oh, okay.
So there must have, I didn't see the project come through, but at least looking at the order, it showed that there were the impacts there, so.
Okay. All right. 'Cause I don't remember that on that project.
Since the area of town has floodplain.
Well, it was a swamp at one point. Back in the day. Back in the day.
Was that entire area once a swamp? Where Citizen is,
The
basically?
entire mall was a
Yeah.
swamp. Yeah, it
Yeah.
used to be peat moss, like they used to harvest peat moss out of there. and-
They used to go swimming.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
I say, you guys, I mean, been around a long time, I don't remember any of this, but.
Oh, it was definitely a swamp. I mean, it was before my time. I just
Right,
remember
right,
I just remember it being, yeah. I mean, that's why, I mean, it's gotten better now, but before, like, Home Depot went in and.
Right, 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 I
Used to
remember all
flood
before that.
something
Oh, yeah,
fierce.
yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I learned how to drive on that dirt road that used to be.
Yeah, it
there,
should be there.
you know,
I mean-
yeah.
And even the other day, I noticed when we had that heavy rain at the intersection, there was like a bit of.
Yeah, it's
I was a little
definitely,
surprised to see quite a bit of water there.
yeah, it's definitely low,
Yeah.
you know. So anytime something happens down at the mall, it's usually
Yeah.
Like
addressing it, you know what I mean?
back end of Home Depot, the back end of the parking lot
Mhm.
towards the road always floods.
Mm. Unprepared agent.
No, that was my fault.
That's all right.
I just used to,
I don't remember seeing him.
I didn't see the
I didn't see it
email.
coming through,
but
unless he didn't send it and said he did, but I didn't see it. So I usually review them all, and I would have remembered. If it was recent, anyways. So. Keeps walking back and walking back. and forth.
Gonna have to grab you a magnifying glass, 'cause the physical copy's on its way. They only provided me the digital copy at the moment. Get you a magnifying glass.
I have one on my phone. Turn to the magnifying glass. It's a hell of a time to be coming out with cold, huh? Oh, it's summer.
I started, I had a cold about 2 weeks, well, I had a regular cold 2 weeks ago, and I've just been coughing since. I mean, the stuffy head and
Yeah.
that's all gone away. It's just I can't get rid of the cough.
I,
I've had it for like 2
funny
weeks.
that happened to me, I had, it was earlier in the year, but I had a cough. It just wouldn't go in, it was this real dry cough, right? So I finally said, I'm going to my doctor to see him. And,
No luck.
I'm letting somebody borrow my magnifying glass. So no luck on that.
did they address the fill in the compensatory area in the as-built plan? They didn't in the letter
Yeah.
specifically.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have to drill down on that. I thought it was all squared away, but. Because I know on site they have depressed areas, specifically in the landscaping. Not as just stormwater infiltration areas, it's more of like incorporating the grass alongside where that parking area. The only area in the floodplain was that parking. There's like 7 parking spaces in front of the building on Mill Street. So that was the area in the floodplain specifically. I mean, regardless, if you'd like to take a look at it, I don't think it'll be an issue to
Continue
Hold
it
it
on
off.
next meeting, yeah.
I don't think they were in.
Because I don't even want to look at that plan, because I can't see a thing.
Clearly, it's not holding up occupancy, and it's probably not holding up a closing.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you'd like to review the plan more in depth, I'm sure that's fine with the applicant.
Yeah, I'm squinting, but I think I got through it. And they don't seem to address the floodplain impacts anywhere on the plan or in the letter. So I think we should just get a hold of Bowler and see if they can do that.
Yep, can do.
We'll just put it on the next meeting then.
That well that's out there, is that for irrigation?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, if we could get that info from them, I mean, I'd like to have that before I vote on it.
I agree with that.
I hope to have a full-size.
Or something else we can read, because I can tell you right now,
It's easy on the computer.
yeah,
You
no,
zoom
not
in
gonna
on it.
happen. I can't read that. Yeah, we'll just address it at the next meeting.
That's fine.
So I don't remember getting it in an email. Are you sure you sent it?
Pretty sure I sent it, but I had a lot going on, so maybe
Just
not.
double check, because I don't remember seeing it.
I will, I'll
Mr.
double check
Stone
on that.
said he may not have seen it either, so.
I apologize.
Just double
for that.
check. No, and that's fine. So.
I always have good intentions to. send
No, you're
emails
usually
out.
pretty good. It just doesn't, I don't remember seeing it, but,
All right, I'll get on that.
all right. So we'll hold it till the next meeting.
That's fine.
Extension permits, Barrett Park, 199-1003.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna have some backup for this one, but I do not. So, what's going on at Barrett Park is that they have a order of conditions that's set to expire September 24th, 2017. DP file number 199-1003. That was specifically for park improvements, make it ADA accessible, some additional gazebos to be added to the park, numerous other things.
I think it was some vegetation removal.
Yeah, they were doing vegetation
around the pond
removal.
itself, and yeah.
Exactly. They wanted to open it up, make it more jogger friendly, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So they're seeking a extension permit for it. 1 year to 3 years, whatever the commission feels comfortable with. They do have some more work to address there currently, so that's why they want to keep it open. I think it would be in their best interest as well to keep this project or this order of conditions open. So that's what we got going on Barrett Park.
I just want to comment that obviously I've been up there a lot. I know they are doing a lot of work. I think what they've done under this order has been fairly decent work. Anything that they've, including from the vegetation around the pond, making it more open and stuff, it hasn't affected the water quality there, at least visibly anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So I personally wouldn't have a problem giving them an extension up to 3 years if that's what they're asking, so they can continue their work. Because what they've done, I think, is excellent work. So
It's come a long way, certainly up there.
yeah, it's definitely come a long way, and they're making it, like you said, more accessible. And I haven't seen any adverse condition effects of any work that they've done up there, so. That'd be my comment. Anybody else? No? Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I make a motion that we grant a 3-year extension for Barrett Park, DEP file number 199-1003.
Second?
A second.
All in favor? Thank you. Communications,
None.
minutes.
June 27th, 2017.
Unfortunately, you're gonna have to, is everybody here able to vote on them? I cannot, I
don't
know,
think Mike was.
I don't think Mike was here, so unfortunately, I don't.
Wasn't that the last one we just had?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, that was the one
before
before it, great, okay, that's the
Yeah,
one I
so
can't
we can't
vote on,
vote.
right. That's the one we had to set aside because we
So-
didn't have enough last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll move
Yeah.
this down the road.
Yep, moved it down again.
Okay, no problem.
New business,
Nothing.
old business, 767 Willard Street driveway.
Yeah, I don't believe, I would have been incorporated in this meeting, I hope, but I don't believe they've met, as in the mayor and the property owner over there,
Okay.
per his request. So, I think we'll just keep this, tabled and
Keep
keep it going.
Just keep us informed and let us know when they do have that meeting, what maybe the next step
Yep, you got it.
will be.
Oh, I did ask for some, I know the commission had requested some previous examples of how this worked in the past from K&P. They haven't gone back to me on that yet, so I might just shoot them a phone call
Okay.
and see if they can address any comments that I requested. So
Okay.
we'll do that.
Moose Brook retaining wall collapse. We had an on-site meeting.
Last Thursday, I believe, Thursday morning, we, anybody who was available met out on the site and reviewed the existing conditions out there. You met with DPW as well. And, basically just to review the emergency certification that we issued. I sent it over to DEP. They haven't called me yet. So, yeah, DPW's working on it.
So we're waiting on
Waiting on them.
calculations. And what was the second thing? I can't remember. I thought there was 2 things.
We're doing calculations and,
See if they can come up with a plan for the compensatory.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Plan for those folks.
so waiting on hearing back from them
All right.
on that.
Can you reach out to them before our next meeting if you haven't heard? And
I'll reach out to them this week and reiterate, what we talked about on site.
Yep. I just don't want this to go by the wayside.
Yep. You got it.
Especially because it's, believe it or not, the summer's coming to a close shortly.
For sure, yeah.
So, weather's gonna be up against us if we request them to do something, so. Just try to keep it active.
I don't want to hit it at a lull in there, because I know once, winter's coming.
Yes.
The other key thing we mentioned was some of this delta sedimentation removal.
Right.
So that's
Right,
that's the part that.
that's weather dependent. Right, so that's why I just want to make sure it's active.
Yep.
I don't want to be here next meeting kind of saying, well, we haven't heard from them. At least let's make the effort to reach out to them and say, hey, what do you got?
Sure.
So,
Sounds good.
enforcement, excuse me, 723 Willard Street.
Yeah, so I spoke with David Dineski with K&P, and he hadn't issued the letter that I had revised, mainly because he wanted to take an approach at revising his letter and making it more strict in his words. He had a couple issues with some of the wording, as in we had, what did it say specifically? That you are hereby ordered to remove it. He didn't think it was in their capacity to order it. He explained it as it would be in the commission's capacity to order something of that nature, but as a city solicitor, they couldn't order it as worded like that.
Okay.
That's how he explained it to me. So this is what he proposed, was that he was going to revise the letter with some stricter wording. He wanted to also request that Mr. Nandini attend this September 12th meeting in that letter. At which point we will be able to discuss, the steps he has made from the last discussion we had with him at a meeting, any progress he has made on his end at attacking this issue. So that's what he recommended.
Now, when he says stricter word, I mean, because it's coming from the city solicitor, you stated they couldn't order it, but the Conservation Commission could order them to remove.
Sure, I guess it could, yeah. I think that's what he was getting at.
Okay,
Yeah,
but he's gonna try to reword it in that fashion, or,
right.
okay,
He wants to reword it so it's strict on their end, but also functioning in their capacity as city solicitor.
okay.
That can't be, doesn't want to word it for them.
As I guess I'm okay with that, as long as it's very, very stern, very strict, that it has a very definitive timeline of,
Right.
immediate removal, kind of all that stuff we talked about in
And he did mention
the letter,
strict timeline.
if he wants to show up here so we can speak with him and kind of reiterate directly to him as we've done in the past.
Right.
I guess that's why we have a city solicitor to help us legal-wise, but, as long as it gets sent to them in that fashion, and I'd like to see him by the next meeting,
That was his thoughts.
so, okay. I'm good with that. Anybody else, questions, comments?
Has there been any discussion with city officials as to options with the property owner at all, or?
There's not, that I know of.
Because this is, the last letter that went out from the city solicitor was May of 2015.
Right.
And it doesn't sound like, at least conceptually, what would be going into the second one is more assertive than the first one. If there's not really much of a response to this first one, then
Right, what is our next step? And that would be my next,
That's what I was kind of prodding at.
so
When I
the
discussed
solicitor
it.
is saying that we have the authority to order the removal, correct?
Correct, at least that's how it
Because
sounded.
presume because it's Article 97 property, or? Correct.
I guess that's my question. If it goes in the letter that the Leominster Conservation Commission orders you to remove this immediately, blah, blah, blah. That, to me, that's kind of, I guess, as stern as we can get at this point. If the attorney's telling us we are the authority figure because of this land.
Well, does,
Or what?
does city council have weight and stuff that is like this as well? Is that how? Like, do we need a overall, consensus on?
If I can, where's our agenda? Get to my paper shuffling here. We already did the driveway, talked a little bit about the driveway. These two things should somewhat be running parallel with each other,
Yeah, you think?
because they're they're both problems on the same title. I mean, I think it's a separate parcel, but
Separate
it's the
parcel,
same, it's the same
Yeah.
deed.
Yeah.
But, you know, getting back to what I've commented in other meetings, they're very separate issues, but you still need to come up with some common approach as to how you handle the encroachment. And if city council's already involved with the driveway issue, why would we not at least bring it up to them, let them know what's going on with this one? Do they want it on their agenda? Should we be talking about it with them? And go from there. I guess ultimately, we may be able to, because it's Article 97, and I haven't really had to deal with this level of encroachment enforcement. Usually when we send a letter, people just get rid of it. In other places I've been involved. But if this one's been ongoing for so long, and it gets to the point where you'd actually have to take it to court, for instance, to get an order to remove it, I don't know how that process works here. I know how it works in a town-type government, but, so it's, you know, maybe we want to include the city council in at this point.
Sure.
Just,
City council is aware of it. I have brought it up congruently when I had discussed with the city clerk the 767 Wood Street driveway. I did hint that, you know, we do have an issue, a separate issue on the same parcel of land involving encroachment. And she was aware of it because I believe it was mentioned in the past to them about this, but, you know, formally, if we could have them pursue it in some sort of fashion or discuss it in some sort of capacity.
right. One of the reasons I suggest doing that is that opinion that we received from city solicitors regarding that driveway, one of the things on there kind of went in the direction that I've never heard possible for Article 97 land, which was to simply grant a license or something to have the encroachment there. That I don't necessarily feel is in compliance with what Article 97 is all about. So I was curious as to how they were saying you could actually do that.
Sure.
My concern was that they take that blanket approach to any type of encroachment on
Right.
Article 97 property. So that's why I think you may want to run these a little bit together, so at least everybody's thinking about it at once, and you know, at some point you're not saying, hey, you treated me differently than the other person, that kind of thing.
So that's what I was worried about. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably agree. I think we should formally notify city council. If city council's already involved, which they are obviously on 767, maybe we should formally notify them on 723 Willard. And just say this is kind of what's going on, and because that is kind of always our fear of setting a precedent of saying, hey, you let this guy take some land for his driveway, or you didn't, or whatever we decide, or whatever comes of that. So, I'm just a little concerned of how much authority does the Conservation Commission have? You know, for a city solicitor to say, well, you guys should be the ones to order it. Well, I think we kind of already did back in 2015.
Well,
or someone, you know.
Reading their letter from 2015, though, it sounds like they're correct. They didn't actually order it. It says, please contact me to let me know your plans for removing.
Yeah.
So,
I suppose they didn't really
Yeah, it's
order
like,
it. You know, I think it's a great thing to say, you know, Conservation Commission orders you to remove it immediately, however we worded it. But at what authority do we truly have? That's kind of what you're getting at. Is it going to be city council's authority, or is there going to be someone else's authority if it goes to a court or something like that?
well, you're not dealing with just at the local level, you're dealing with the state
Right.
too, if you're talking easements or declaring surplus
Right.
land and things of that nature. So it's, in even the council's discussions on the driveway, it's
Right.
complicated.
Right.
So
Right.
there's no easy solution to it. So, I mean, the easiest solution is to get rid of the encroachment, but I can understand somebody not wanting to do that.
Right. Is he going to have you review the letter before he sends it, or what?
Yeah, I can ask him that,
You know,
to review it. before
just to,
sending.
you know, just give it a blessing before.
Yeah, just so I know what it sounds like, I guess.
I definitely think we should. I'd like to see at our next meeting something.
Some sort of,
Yeah, I'd love to see Mr. Dandini come in front of us, but I think it's a good idea to get more city authorities to be involved, council or whoever.
and we'll keep it in the front too.
Yeah, yeah. So. Did he say when he's gonna send it?
He's hoping to get it out next week,
Next week? Okay,
because we have about a month
right.
before our next meeting,
Okay.
so you want to give them due time.
All right. How do you want to contact city council?
I don't really know the true way about going to do that.
Okay.
Never done it before. I could just write the city clerk a letter.
Yeah, I don't know that answer.
I have
Maybe,
no idea.
you know, you
I
can
can
ask her.
Yeah, let me
Talk to her.
discuss it.
If I'm not mistaken, the mayor's currently working with the property owner regarding the driveway.
767, yeah.
So I would include him in as well, just in
Sure.
case
Yeah.
there's anything that he can do to speed up the process with this other issue.
Yeah, let me,
Maybe he's willing to meet with those property owners, maybe it doesn't have to go to the council immediately, or,
right.
Right.
Yeah, let me include the mayor, just update him on the most current happenings with
Okay.
this stuff. I can meet verbally and then have a follow-up letter to him,
Okay.
describing what's kind of like what's going on with it. Yeah, that's probably the best approach.
I would agree with that. Okay.
We'll see if I can get something more concrete for the next meeting on these.
But I think the letter should be sent with a request for our next meeting.
Sure.
Something happen.
Sure.
And when I say something, hopefully he's here or a representative of his. We good?
Works with me.
375 375 Harvard Street, DEP file number 199-781.
So here we go with another one that's been hanging for quite some time now. This was an enforcement case that started back in February of 2016. Again, we requested a restoration plan to be submitted to the Conservation Commission by July 31st, and that was after a 2-month extension that we gave them. I reached out to him multiple times regarding that deadline. I haven't gotten a response back, and it's now August 8th, and I don't have any restoration plan available.
Okay.
So I think, we've brought it just as far as we can bring it.
That's my next question. So what do we do next? Is it DEP? Is it,
We can refer this to DEP.
okay.
Um,
What's the next authority? Is it DEP?
I think that's it.
Okay.
well, you could have the city file suit as well. It doesn't have to go to DEP, but I think DEP is the better option.
I think it is too.
Yeah, that's,
Do we have a specific contact at DEP we feel that could help us on this?
not off the top of my head, but there are some the people in positions of power in DEP that have this in their capacity. Was it
The answer is yes, we have a specific.
I personally would like to see it go to the next level, and I think DEP is the right place to go. So, I don't know what we need to do as a commission. Is it just a
Well,
matter of,
I would suggest if that's the action that we want to take, is to forward it to DEP, see if they're interested in handling enforcement for
Right.
us. I would suggest we vote on that to make sure the commission's on board,
okay,
and then we can talk about it from there.
okay. We can do that. Do we, I guess, do we have a motion? Or do we want to just vote?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that this enforcement actions that we've taken in the past, we haven't gotten much response, so we'd like to contact the central office, the Department of Environmental Protection, and see if they would be interested in enforcing our order of conditions for us.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, so what I could also suggest is that I will contact them,
Okay.
give them the history I've already had. Mark will provide us with everything that, or most of everything it looks like the commission's done to date, so I've got the history there. I'll just need the plan that was referenced in the order of conditions.
Sure.
I do know somebody over there that's got a lot of experience with enforcement.
Okay.
They'll know pretty much right away whether it's something that they think is worthy at this point for them to take on or not.
Okay.
So,
How is their staffing over there? Meaning, do you feel they have enough?
it's
Staff to
like
take it
everybody
on.
else, it's cyclical, but
Right.
at least based on the information that property owner's consultant provided the commission in terms of the operations, that's a lot more than what's usually minimally required for them to sort of have an appetite for enforcement. So, I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't take it. but,
Right.
I mean, it's up to them. If their workload's really hard, if, they've got
Right.
has waste issues or other things going on, that's one thing. But in terms of resource area alteration, it's pretty significant
large,
scale.
Okay. All right.
Now, Brad, so we have quite a thick file on this property, several enforcement cases in the past. Should I incorporate those enforcement orders along with this package, or just specifically what we're looking at?
Same parcel, same order,
Different,
different orders.
right?
So there's been enforcement orders for different orders of conditions out there?
Not only for orders of conditions, so post orders of conditions have been enforcement orders, I guess you could say, for wetland alteration. I think in the northwest part of the site, there's like I have a wetland report that discusses that.
Is that the plateau and all
That's that plateau
Okay.
there.
I think the history is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's it's from the enforcement perspective. One of the things that they think of is is this an ignorant property owner? We see that with homeowners all the time. They go in, they alter something, and oops, well, let's have them fix it and work cordially with them. If something's been going on and on over the years for different reasons, and they look at that as a willful violation. Somebody who's potentially being belligerent, and it gives them more of an appetite for actually wanting to deal with it and getting it addressed. But
Yeah, I think I would agree with including anything to do with that parcel and that owner on that particular.
Sure.
I wasn't on the commission at that point, but I remember Mr. Giannakis mentioning
It goes way
the
back.
history about, I believe when the building was first
Yeah.
remodeled or
It
whatever.
goes way back to early 2000s and
Yeah,
before that.
yeah.
aside from the wetland alterations, I've never encountered somebody who just flat out didn't build a detention pond. That was on the plan. So
So it's,
Yeah.
I would agree, so So you're gonna contact,
I'll reach out to the department.
okay,
I'll work on compiling more of the
okay.
prior enforcement cases. It's gonna take me a while, it's a big old cluster in there, but see what I can derive from it.
Okay.
Make some sense of it all, timeline-wise.
How long has that property owner owned that property? Do we know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I don't wanna give you,
Okay,
but a while.
yeah. Well, because that used to be a ESP
Was it ESP lock on it,
so-
right?
And he did not own it at that point, right?
No.
He bought it, okay.
How was it enforced?
Sorry.
Do you remember the,
I wasn't involved with the other enforcement
so
cases.
you'd have to look back, you're just.
Right, so I go in the file and there are enforcement orders and wetland scientist letters that confirm wetland alterations.
No, I was just curious if you knew off the top of your head. how much.
Yeah, no, they date back quite a ways.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
Update us at the next meeting, will you, please?
Yes, I
I would
will.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any emergency certifications?
None.
Any commission members have or want any project updates? I do not. I'm good. Budget? Do we have any change in our budget?
Not changing the budget. My filing fee additions for this fiscal year.
Okay. Agents report?
Oh, I had something. No.
I do not have a chairman's report. Our next meeting is September 12th, 2017, with a deadline of August 31st, 2017. Do we have anything else? Seeing nothing, our meeting is adjourned.